Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another Logan Blackman Show YouTube video. I hope you all had a fantastic week. I hope you all enjoyed week 1 of the college football season, and I am so happy to be here today because we are going to be previewing the 2025-2026 NFL season. I mean, usually we do an AFC and NFC preview, but I think in this one, time will tell how this all works out at the end of the video, but usually I do both videos, but I think this one, we're just going to rifle through the entire NFL because I don't have a lot of time before the NFL's first games of the season, which is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. We got the Kansas City Chiefs against the LA Chargers down in Brazil. Like, those games are happening. One's today, the Cowboys-Eagles game's today, and then you'll happen to know what we do for tomorrow. If it says NFL preview, then we did the whole NFL. If it says NFC or AFC preview, then we did just one or the other, and the other one will be coming out either Friday or Saturday. We also got our week 1 quarterback prospect rankings coming out for you this weekend as well, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you're already enjoying it, but again, know if you're not a trusting individual, you can wait till the very end of the video to give it a like. Make sure to also check out all the links down in the description below. We have a blog post coming out in the quarterback prospect ranking video coming out again soon, and also leave a comment down below on how you feel your team is going to do this upcoming season, because I know my predictions are going to be all wrong. I know they're going to be wrong, so that's okay. Just let me know down in the comment section below. But starting things off, we go AFC, we go alphabetical order, go A is before N in the alphabet, so we're going to start with the AFC. Then we go North, so we're starting off with the AFC North, and we're going to kick things off with the Baltimore Ravens. This is a team that arguably on paper might be the best team in the NFL. I mean, Lamar Jackson's coming off a ridiculous season last year. Derrick Henry's coming off a ridiculous season last year. You got Zay Flowers still there. Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely's going to miss the first part of the game. He's going to miss the game on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills, so we'll see how that injury affects him. But on the defensive side of the ball, they just extended Kyle Hamilton the other day. They brought in Jair Alexander from the Green Bay Packers. If he can stay healthy, having him in a secondary with Marlon Humphrey and Nate Wiggins, that was a massive improvement from last season, which the secondary was not great at the beginning of the season. They got better as the year went on, but the first part mightily struggled. Then you got someone like Kyle Van Noy, who put up really good numbers. He had like 12.5 sacks this past season. Will he be able to replicate the same numbers this season as he gets another year older? The Ravens' run defense was really good last year, which you would expect the run defense to be good if they're practiced against Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. The Baltimore Ravens, again, on paper, are arguably the best team in the NFL, and I'm going to kick things off right here, saying the Ravens go this season at 13-4. And the next team on this list, we're continuing to go in alphabetical order, is the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a team that on paper, we're talking about the on paper thing, which doesn't matter because the game's played on grass. On paper, it has one of the most fun teams in the NFL. I mean, Joe Burrow led the league in every single statistical passing category last year. Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown at wide receiver. T. Higgins, they just re-signed him this offseason as well. Like, this Bengals team, offensively, is ridiculous. With a lot of people talking about Joe Burrow finally getting over the hump and getting that MVP award. And the Bengals, they haven't made the playoffs the past 3 seasons, 2 or 3 seasons. I can't remember off the top of my head. And the main reason because of that is because of their defense, which is just terrible. Now, they did draft Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, which that battle of this whole offseason has been so weird to watch. Same thing goes for Trey Hendrickson, who they did just re-sign. And I have a hard time believing that the Bengals defense can be as bad as what it was last year. We all know the Bengals like to start the season off slow. I mean, remember last year they lost to a Patriots team that not a lot of people were expecting to win many games. They ended up with the 4th overall pick. They still beat the Bengals week 1 last year. So they're going to start the season off slow. I expect Chase Brown in the running game to improve as well because, again, I don't think their defense is going to be as bad. Like, their defense was so bad that forced them to throw the ball more. Like, if you look at Joe Burrow's pass attempts compared to everybody else in the league, it's not even close because their defense was so bad because they couldn't run the ball because they're losing every damn game. So if they improve defensively, Joe Burrow's numbers, I don't know, will be as great as what they were last year, but they're still going to be really, really good. And I have the Bengals going, and this might be a little optimistic, but I do think the Bengals will improve from last season. I'm going to have them going 11-6. That might be a little too optimistic given how bad their defense was, but I'm expecting an improvement there. They do have a new defensive coordinator in as well, so we'll see how that changes things. I believe it's Al Golden coming in. Lou Anarumo went down to the Indianapolis Colts, which we'll talk about them in a little bit as well. But the Cleveland Browns are the next team on this list, a team that everybody's been paying attention to this offseason, and that's just because of the quarterback situation. I mean, You have Joe Flacco, who was named the starter, and you have Dillon Gabriel, who they drafted in the 3rd round, and Shedeur Sanders, who was drafted in the 5th round of this past year's draft. And that whole situation has been just a jumbled mess of who should be over who's the better player. Like, if you're just looking at it from a college perspective, Shedeur Sanders is a better quarterback than Dillon Gabriel. But so far this preseason, or not so far this preseason because preseason is done, Dillon Gabriel looked more calm and more comfortable in the system that the Cleveland Browns are running. And I think the system fits what Shedeur Sanders does really well, but it looked like he was once again just holding on to the ball a little too long and taking big sacks, not taking the check downs, trying to do a little too much, and that hurt him in the long run. Now, they also got Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State, which that's another weird situation going on, but the Dylan Sampson, they brought him in from Tennessee. The offensive line got decent players along the offensive line. You got Wyatt Teller still there, Joel Bitonio's still there, Jerry Jeudy's coming off a great season last year, same with David Njoku. And the defensive side of the ball, you brought back Myles Garrett, sorry. You were able to get a deal done with him, even though he was desperate on playing for a Super Bowl contender, but, you know, he was fine coming back this year. They also got Denzel Ward, still there. You also got Mason Graham with the 5th overall pick and Carson Swedinger, who you got from UCLA, the linebacker. So I think those two guys will help improve the defensive side of the ball as well, but the Browns overall are just not a good football team. They're just not. And that's not something that I'm going to sit here. I don't think that takes a lot to say that kind of thing. And the Browns within a division with the Ravens, Bengals, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think are just going to get beat up. They might steal one win in there because there's always one random game in this division that doesn't make any sense. And the Browns might have one of those this year. But I am going to have the Browns finishing 4-13 this season. And then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers up next. Aaron Rodgers is in town. Had a okay season last year for the New York Jets. I mean, statistically, he wasn't bad, but when you watch the games, like, this isn't really great. Nate Hackett got the play calling duty stripped away from him this past offseason with the Jets. So Aaron Rodgers getting cut by the Jets was sitting down with Aaron Glenn. He's like, "You going to play this year?" Aaron Rodgers like, "Yeah." And Aaron Glenn's like, "Well, okay, you're not playing here." So then they shipped him off, and then he ends up signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers with Arthur Smith as the OC. Jaylen Warren at running back. We know he's going to get some decent touches this year with Najee Harris gone, even though they drafted Caleb Johnson in the 3rd round this year. They also have the likes of DK Metcalf traded for him from the Seattle Seahawks as well. Jonnu Smith, Arthur Smith's favorite guy in the whole wide world, is on the roster as well. The offensive line is all right, but the defense is the part that the Steelers take the most pride in. TJ Watt is one of the best edge rushers in the entire NFL. Cam Hayward's got a little bit of a holdout situation going on, so I don't really know what to say about that right now. But you look at the secondary. You brought in Jalen Ramsey from the Dolphins. You brought in Darius Slay as well, so you're getting a more experienced secondary, but it always scares me when you get older players like that in the secondary, and that's your main guys back there. I mean, you still got Joey Porter Jr., but you got rid of Minkah Fitzpatrick. You sent him back to the Dolphins, and Derek Harmon, he's got a leg injury, and I don't remember if he's out for the season or out for a significant period of time. But the Steelers, it's just commonplace to go, this team's going to finish above 500. Mike Tomlin's never had a season where he hasn't finished above 500, or at least never had a losing season in franchise history since he's been there. So I think it's ridiculous to say they're going to do anything less than that. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs or not, but I am going to have the Steelers finishing 9-8 this coming season. And then moving on north-south, moving on to the AFC South, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. We got the Houston Texans up first, and the Texans are an interesting team because they completely trashed their entire offensive line. They sent all their main guys from that line out this offseason, and they made some moves to hopefully improve that this offseason. Like Kenyon Green got shipped off to Philadelphia. You got Laramie Tunsil shipped off to Washington. So the offensive line, I don't know if on paper it's improved, so we're going to have to wait and see on that. But the Texans also have CJ Stroud, who got killed in those playoff games. He got sacked 11 times, I believe, or something in 2 playoff games this last year. So keeping him upright is going to be massive. But statistically, he did not have the greatest season compared to his awesome rookie year. Nico Collins, hopefully he can stay healthy for him as well. And they got the Iowa State duo of Xavier Hutchinson and Jalen Knoll. You also got, or not Xavier Hutchinson was already there. You got Jaden Higgins this offseason in the 2nd round. So you got 3 Iowa State wide receivers on the roster, but Stephon Diggs is gone. Tank Dell's still recovering from his injury. John Mechie just got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. So there's a decently new look receiving core here for the Texans, but CJ Stroud's a very good quarterback. The running back room is going to be interesting because Joe Mixon's going to be out for a little bit. So it's Nick Chubb and Dameon Pierce, who was very good his rookie season. Those are going to be areas to look out for as well. And the Texans defense is just great. I mean, you got Daniel Hunter, you got Daniil Hunter on one side and Will Anderson on the other, and you also brought in C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the Kenyon Green trade from the Philadelphia Eagles, and Derek Stingley is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. And at the time when he got drafted 3rd overall by the Texans, there were some people going, oh, hey, Sauce Gardner might be the guy. That rookie season, Sauce Gardner looked so good. But Derek Stingley has overtaken Sauce Gardner, in my opinion, in regards to being the better corner in the league. But the Texans defensively are good. You're going to get that with DeMeco Ryans. They got a new offensive coordinator as well. They fired Bobby Slowick this offseason. So we're going to see how the Texans offense looks. And the question marks around the offensive line just scare me. I know they made some moves there, but I need to see it first. So I'm going to have the Texans going 9-8 this season. I could see them going a little bit better than that, but I'm going to have them going 9-8 at this point in time. And moving on to the next team, the Indianapolis Colts, another team with a quarterback controversy. Daniel Jones versus Anthony Richardson. Daniel Jones is a guy that you know what Daniel Jones is. You know what he is. He's not going to do anything spectacular. He can pick up decent games with his legs on the ground. He's going to make some bonehead decisions here and there, but he's experienced. He's seen a lot around the NFL. So I understand to a certain extent why Shane Steichen picked him. But on the other hand, I want to know what Anthony Richardson is. Like, what if Anthony Richardson balls out this year? Balls out's a weird term because I don't know if he'll go supernova this year or anything. But if he stinks, then that's fine. Then you know he's not the answer. But if you're just going to the season with Daniel Jones, I don't know. It's a weird situation because I wanted to see more from Anthony Richardson. He only has like 25 career starts for including high school, college, and NFL. Like, you drafted him knowing he was raw. So why are you just giving up like that? I know he's not great. I know he hasn't been playing really well. Statistically, he's not been very good. He did the whole tapping out thing as well. But I'd rather have him start early on than Daniel Jones. You eventually put Daniel Jones in that whole situation, the locker room. It just seemed like kind of a mess this past season. So I'm intrigued to see how the Colts rally around that, but they did draft Tyler Warren this offseason from Penn State. Got Jonathan Taylor still there, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs. I'm excited to see what those guys do. Offensive line, you lost Ryan Kelly, you lost Will Fries this offseason, so how you replace those guys is going to be very telling as well. Defensively, I mean, you still got DeForest Buckner still there, and you brought in Cam Bynum for the Minnesota Vikings. You also brought in Charvarius Ward from the San Francisco 49ers and Xavier Howard, who hasn't played in a tiny bit now, but Leatu Latu, the second-year guy from UCLA, edge rusher. So, I mean, the Colts are an interesting team. I could see people saying they're not a sleeper playoff team, but a team that could get around 500, win like 8 games or something like that. But there was just so much drama in that locker room last year that I'm going to have the Colts finishing 6-11 this season. We're going to have to see how Daniel Jones does, but I do like some of the pieces they got with Taylor. I like Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman. It's just going to be a matter to see how that defense does this year. And moving on to the next team, the Jacksonville Jaguars down in Florida. I was going to say down in Jacksonville, Florida, whatever. But this is a big year for Trevor Lawrence. He battled some injuries last year, and we're looking at him to take that next step. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, and they brought in Liam Cohen this offseason from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that was a whole situation where he was going to go down and sign with the team, then he was like, no, I'm going to go back to Tampa Bay, and then they fired Trent Baalke, and he's like, oh, okay, I'll come back down there. So, new GM in there as well, but Liam Cohen, we saw what happened with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. We look at that and go, oh, he can just improve upon what the Jaguars were last year. The run game was not very good. Travis Etienne had a down year last year. Tank Bigsby kind of took over there. You got Tutton coming in from Virginia Tech, which I think is a nice get there. But at wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. was immense last year, and he had Mac Jones throwing the football. You also got Travis Hunter, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, who's a starting wide receiver and a backup cornerback on the roster. So that flipping back and forth between him on defense and offense is going to be something to look out for, but he's so damn talented. It's going to be fun to see, but I think the run game by proxy will improve with Liam Cohen being there because I think Travis Etienne is much better than what he showed last season. You also got the likes of Josh Allen, not Josh Allen, they got Josh Hines Allen on the defensive line, and you still got Trayvon Walker, you got Eric Armstead, so there's some good players on the defensive side of the ball, but the Jaguars, they're just going to be a team to look out for because it's all a matter of if Trevor Lawrence can take that step. He's battled a lot of injuries the past couple seasons, and I think with the receiving core that he has in front of him at this point in time, I think that can drastically help him this year. And I think Brian Thomas being back after a great rookie year last year, Travis Hunter with all the potential in the world that he possesses could just improve the offense. And again, the run game's going to have to improve as well. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. And I think bringing in someone like Pat McCarry on the offensive line, I think that will drastically improve as well coming down from Baltimore. So I'm going to have the Jaguars. I think they could do better than this, but I'm going to have them going 7-10. I think we'll have statistical improvements, but I don't think the team will be that amazing this year. And then the final team on here is the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Brian Callahan was a guy that a lot of people looked at as like a potential first-year fire, like we saw with Gerard Mayo this past season, but Brian Callahan held on to his job, and Cam Ward is the big reason why. Like, Brian Callahan's now got his guy, because if you looked at the relationship that him and Will Levis had, it was not great. And Tony Pollard, he was a 1,000-yard running back this last year. You still got Calvin Ridley there. You brought in Alec Amenor from Stanford this offseason, who I think is going to be very, very good for this team. You also got Tyler Lockett, who's one of the most experienced players in the NFL, which he's going to be one of those guys you look at like, you look like you should play for the Tennessee Titans. I don't know how to explain it, but I think you all understand what I mean by that. But you brought in Kevin Zeitler, J.C. Latham still there, Peter Skoronski. So I like the offensive line that they're building there. But defensively, I don't know. I just don't know. Like, yes, Jeffrey Simmons is still there, but I just don't have a ton. I think the Titans will be a better team than what they were last year, just with Cam Ward coming in, because I think he's a drastic improvement on both Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. And I think with the players they have at wide receiver, with Calvin Ridley, with Tyler Lockett, who are experienced guys. I'm not sitting here going like they're going to put up 1,000-yard season or anything like that. But I think Amenor from Stanford, I think, is going to be awesome again this year. So I think those two could build a really good relationship. Okonkwo at tight end as well. So I'm going to have the Titans improve a little bit, but I'm still not going to have them be that great at 5-12. And then moving on, so north, south, east, we got the AFC East, and of course we got the Buffalo Bills, my team, the Buffalo Bills. And the main concern with this Buffalo Bills team is the secondary. I'm not going to sit here and BS you a little bit. And it's not the corners. I love the corners. I mean, Christian Benford's the most underrated cornerback in the NFL. They brought back Trey White as well. But Maxwell Harrison, coming in as a rookie, has the injury they suffered back in preseason, so we'll see when he's able to come back. But the safeties, Taylor Rapp was locked in as one of the stars. You had a battle between Cole Bishop and DeMar Hamlin. And Cole Bishop battled injuries last year, so he never really got a lot of reps with the ones last year. And when he did, he just didn't look very good. You look at the game against the Houston Texans early on last season, where you could definitely struggle with that, but he got better as the season went on. I thought he played decent against the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, but the Bills, they made some improvements on the D-line. They brought in Deion Walker from Kentucky. They brought in TJ Sanders from South Carolina in the draft. You also brought in Landon Jackson from Arkansas in the third round. You also got Joey Bosa coming in, Larry Ogunjobi, Hoyt from the LA Rams. Those two will have 6-game suspensions, and Dwayne Carter being hurt for the season, that's a very big loss there. And Ed Oliver, I hope he's back to the Ed Oliver we saw 2 seasons ago. The linebackers just hope they can stay healthy with Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard. You got Dorian Williams there as well. Taron Johnson in the secondary there. But the offense, Josh Allen's there, the reigning, defending NFL MVP. As long as he's there, the offense will be good. And I love that they brought in Josh Palmer this offseason from the LA Chargers. I think that was a very good get there. I'm hoping that the likes of Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman improve on last season. I think the offensive line's fantastic. Like, I think the Bills, especially after re-signing James Cook, getting that whole deal out of the way, I think this offense is still going to be great this year. And the Bills still run the AFC East. Like, it's not going to be an issue for the Bills to run the AFC East. And I think the Bills are going to be right up there as one of the AFC and the NFL's best teams again. So I'm going to have the Bills finishing 13-4. And there's some sneaky games there throughout the season, but you look at the Bills overall, I just think they're so damn good on the opposite side of the ball that I think that they put up ridiculous numbers. Offensively, I think 13 or 14 different players caught touchdown passes last year. They're just a great team. The secondary again's a little nervy, but I think the Bills overall has too much damn talent to lose this. And they kept hold of Joe Brady as well, so we'll see how he does in year 2 or year 2.5 as the Bills offensive coordinator. But moving on to the next team, the Miami Dolphins. This team is just scraps. At this point, like we talked about before, they traded Jalen Ramsey to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They brought back Minkah Fitzpatrick, remembers a first-round pick back in 2018. But this team, the offensive line is just not very good. They had a lot of faith in Patrick Paul this offseason at tackle. Austin Jackson's still kicking it there. The offensive line, given how Tua's injury history is, I just have zero faith in the offensive line. I like Devin Achane and Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon. I think are going to be good pieces there. And I like Tyreek Hill still there, who's a very big trade candidate this season. Jalen Waddle, can he stay healthy? You brought back Darren Waller, the rapper, this offseason. So you got him going up for you. On the defensive side, you got Chop Robinson, who had a great rookie season last year, and hoping that Jalen Phillips can stay healthy. They drafted Kenneth Grant from Michigan in the first round to help beef up the defensive line. But the Dolphins, again, that offensive line and Tua's injury history and the fact that they could trade Tyreek Hill as well this season doesn't really fill me with the utmost hope for this team. And I'm going to have the Dolphins, this might be disappointing, but I'm going to have them finish 5-12 this season. Then moving on to the next team, we got the New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel is in as head coach. So that's just a vast improvement there as well. Former NFL Coach of the Year, Drake May, in his second year of the NFL. I really, really like Drake May, and I hate the fact that he plays for the New England Patriots, but I think the Patriots did a good job at building around him this offseason, drafting Travion Henderson from Ohio State while also having Ramondre Stevenson still there. You brought in Stephon Diggs. Kyle Williams coming in from Washington State, I think was an excellent get as well. Drafting Will Campbell with the 4th overall pick. He just felt like a New England Patriots player, so it was a natural fit there. You also brought in Morgan Moses this offseason. The offensive line, the weapons, those all improved this offseason. Defensively, Christian Gonzalez is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. You also brought in Carlton Davis and Harold Landry, so I think the Patriots will be one of the more improved teams this season. As a playoff team, I'm not 100% sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't end up squeaking in, and I think Drake May will take that jump in year 2 with the Patriots, so I'm going to have the Patriots finishing 9-8 this upcoming season. Again, it would not shock me at all if they ended up making the playoffs. The final team here is the New York Jets. Justin Fields in as the starting quarterback. Aaron Glenn comes as the head coach, replacing Robert Saleh, so we'll see how he does in year 1 there. You've got good players like Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen at running back as well. You also drafted Mason Taylor from LSU in the second round, which I think was a good get at tight end, and Armin Membu at right tackle for the Jets as well. So you got Olu Fashanu and Armin Membu at tackle. I think that's a very good tackle tandem for the New York Jets. And you look at what happened with the Detroit Lions, how they built the team from the offensive line. I think that's a good way to start the Aaron Glenn era with the Jets. The defensive side of the ball, you still got the likes of Quinn and Williams. You got the Williams brothers there. Sauce Gardner, can he improve on last season? And you also have Will McDonald, former Iowa State guy who had 10.5 sacks this last season. So will he be able to keep up that same production? You also don't have the Hassan Reddick distraction this year. So I think the Jets are a very interesting team to watch. This is another offensive coordinator, another offensive system learned for Justin Fields. So we'll see how he does. But the Jets, I think that defensive side of the ball could help them a little bit, and I am going to have them going 6-11 this year because I like the tackles they've got, and I like the defensive side of the ball with Aaron Glenn being there. So we're going to have 6-11. Not a great season, but a better season, I guess you could say. And then moving on to the finals division, the AFC West, starting off with the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix in year 2 with Sean Payton. They got better, I think, this offseason, bringing in the likes of Jahdae Barron in the first round. They brought Dre Greenlaw in at linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers to improve a defense that was one of the best defenses in the league, led by Pat Surtain, who was the NFL defensive player of the season. Like, he was so great last year and kind of separated himself from the other cornerbacks in the league. And the offensive side of the ball, you've still got Cortland Sutton there. You drafted RJ Harvey from UCF. J.K. Dobbins, who had a very nice career resurgence with the Chargers last year, had about 900-something yards last season with them. Like the Broncos, they brought in Evan Ingram as well from Jacksonville, which I think is a nice little safety net for Bo Nix. And the Broncos, I think, again, with Riley Moss there, Iowan at cornerback as well, I think the Broncos are a very good football team. And I've seen a lot of people talk about this could be a potential Super Bowl team. Now, they were 1-7 against teams with a winning record last year, and that one win came against the backup JV squad Kansas City Chiefs in the last game of the regular season. So we'll see how much that carries over into this year, because sometimes that doesn't bode well for a team going into the next season. But I just think the Broncos' defensive side of the ball is too good, and Bo Nix taking another jump in year 2, I think, will happen. So I'm going to have the Broncos finishing 11-6 with this season because I think the defense is just that good. And then moving on to the next team, the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes is still there. That's all that matters. Patrick Mahomes is still there. Isaiah Pacheco's coming back from injury last season, so we'll see how he looks this year. You've also got Rashee Rice, who's going to be serving a 6-game suspension, but having him back in that back part of the season, what I think will be massive for them. Hollywood Brown still there. Xavier Worthy, how will he look in year 2? And Travis Kelce, this could really be his last season in the NFL. Just got engaged, had to bring that up. So we'll see how he looks this year. You also drafted Josh Simmons with the last pick of the first round this year at tackle because the Chiefs' offensive line just got beat up. Last year was just not very good. In that game against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, Joe Thuney is a great offensive lineman. He's not a tackle, and he just got absolutely blitzed the entire time with the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's out of here as well, so we'll see how they're able to replace him. But re-signing Trey Smith is a big move. You still got Creed Humphrey there, but Josh Simmons, who is coming off a knee injury, so we'll see how he looks this season with the Kansas City Chiefs. And the defensive side of the ball, we know what they're going to be. The Chiefs are a very, very good defensive unit. I mean, the Chiefs last year didn't score over 30 points until they played the Bills in the AFC Championship game, which is how that works out. They're a more defensive-minded team at this point in time. Still got Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie. Like, they've got so many good players on the defensive side of the ball. So yeah, the Chiefs, it's kind of like the New England Patriots when I was growing up. Like, people would always talk about, oh, the Patriots are done. The Patriots are done. Oh my God, someone's going to take the division. Oh, the Bills, Jets, Dolphins, they're going to take the division. This year, it's the Broncos. Everybody's talking about the Broncos taking the division. I think the Chiefs, I don't know if they'll go 15-2 again, like they did last year, but I'm going to have to wait and see it to believe it. It'd be kind of idiotic for me to say the Chiefs don't win the division again, because that's just what they do. So I'm going to have the Chiefs winning the division with a 12-5 record. And the next team on here, the Las Vegas Raiders, Geno Smith coming in, Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly. This is a whole new Raiders squad this coming season, drafting Ashton Genty with the 6th overall pick this year. He is one of the most highly anticipated rookies that we've seen in a long time in regards to, like, he has no faults to his game. That's what everybody was saying. No faults to his game. But the Raiders offensive line could make that interesting. They could make that interesting. Colton Miller's still there on the O-line. He also brought back Amari Cooper, and Jacoby Myers is looking for a trade, or at least I think he's looking for a trade, so we'll see what that situation folds out. But Brock Bowers was ridiculous last season from the tight end position, so we'll see how he looks in year 2, because it's going to, I mean, it was just crazy. He was just absolutely crazy this past year. And the defensive side of the ball, they're going to improve because Pete Carroll's there by proxy. And again, you look at where he's had success with USC and the Seattle Seahawks. They want to run the ball and play good defense. They don't necessarily have a big star player apart from Max Crosby on the defensive side of the ball, but if you look at some of the other players they have, I think this defense could be better than what they were last year, but I still don't think it's going to be that amazing. So I am going to have the Raiders finishing last in the division. I'm going to have them going 7-10 this year, but they're going to cause some problems for the other 3 teams in this division. And the final team on here is the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert did very little in regards to turning the ball over last year until the playoff game. I think he had 3 picks the entire season. He threw 4 in the game against the Houston Texans, or maybe it was 4 and 5. I can't remember the exact number, but Justin Herbert going into this year, another year with Jim Harbaugh, I think will be awesome for him. Ladd McConkey was great this past season. You also brought in Trey Harris and Keandre Lambert-Smith, who's been making ridiculous catches all preseason, and Quentin Johnston's still there too. You brought in Tyler Conklin from the Jets. You drafted Omarion Hampton from North Carolina and brought in Najee Harris. And Jim Harbaugh wants to run the football. Rashawn Slater being out is huge for them. So Joe Alt being back at left tackle, his natural position, played great at right tackle last season. We'll see how he does back at left tackle, which is more natural position where he played at Notre Dame. And the Chargers defense, I believe, had the #1 scoring defense in the league last year. Like, they just had some very good players there. Khalil Mack is still there. They obviously let Joey Bosa go to the Buffalo Bills this offseason. And we'll see how Tuli Tuipulotu does replacing Joey Bosa as that another guy next to Khalil Mack. The secondary, you let Asante Samuel Jr. leave, but he brought in Jonte Jackson this offseason. So we'll see how the Chargers look defensively, because they're just they got good players on the defense. It's just a matter of if they can replicate what they did last season with how good their scoring defense was. But the offense is going to still be the offense. So we'll see how that goes for them. But I am going to have the Chargers going 9-8 this season. Those are the AFC side of things. So I think we just go right on to the NFC. So we go NFC North. We start up with the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams in year 2 brought in Ben Johnson, the #1 coaching candidate for every single person out there this offseason. Just having him will drastically improve what the Bears do on offense, because he's just better. Like, there's no comparison between him and Shane Waldron. It's just not even close. They brought in Doyle to be the offensive coordinator, but Ben Johnson's going to be that main guy calling the plays. They brought in Kyle Monangai from Rutgers. They drafted him in the 7th round. The run game should just improve by proxy, like we talked about Liam Cohen before. DeAndre Swift still there. Roshan Johnson. They drafted Luther Burden, who changed his number 3 times so far this offseason. It was 87, then it was 13, now it's 10. So we'll see which number he ends up choosing before the season starts, because that could change drastically before the season goes too. Like, he could change it again before Sunday, or Monday. Sorry, they play Monday night. You still have Roma Dunze. You drafted him last year in the 1st round. DJ Moore still there. I really like that they drafted Colston Level with the 10th overall pick. Even though I had them taking a tight end, I just had the wrong one. I think Colston Level fits what the Bears are going to want to do, what Ben Johnson wants to do with the 2 tight end sets. You got him and Cole Kmet there. The offensive line's drastically improved than it was last year. You got Drew Dahlman coming in. You brought in Jonah Jackson. You brought in Joe Tooney that we brought up before. Like, the offense is just going to be better than what it was last year. And Caleb Williams, I don't think, was as bad as what a lot of people would make you believe he was, but with how much hype he had in, there's going to be some frustrated people out there if he's not putting up ridiculous numbers. On the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Johnson's still there, one of the best corners, one of the more underrated cornerbacks in the league. I don't know if he's underrated anymore. I think more people kind of understand how good he is. Javon Dexter's still there as well. So the Bears, they're gonna be a good football team. I don't know if they're gonna be like a playoff push team. I've seen some people talk about them being a playoff team, and it wouldn't shock me. I think this division is going to beat each other up, and I'm going to have the Bears going 8-9 this season, which is last in the division. But again, that just talks about the depth that this division has. Then moving on to the Detroit Lions, whole new staff. I mean, Dan Campbell's still there, but new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. I think they replaced 8 members on their staff this offseason. And then Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson were two of the most highly sought after coaches, so of course they're going to take guys with them when they leave. Like JT Barrett going to the Bears, I think it's an excellent move to be their quarterback coach for Caleb Williams. I think that's a great move for them. But the Lions, it's going to be interesting to see how they adjust to not having those faces there, because they've been so integral to their success. The offensive schematics that Ben Johnson was running in Detroit were immense, and Jared Goff benefited from that. And Jared Goff's a really, really good quarterback. He was a top 5 MVP candidate last year. And the Lions, I believe, had the number 1 scoring offense in the league. It was either them or the Bills. I can't remember. But Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the best running backs in football. And him and David Montgomery create one of the best 1-2 punches in the whole NFL. Like, you look at Sonic and Knuckles there. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jamison Williams is coming off his first 1,000-yard season. Sam Laporta, I'm hoping to see him more used as a wide receiver or tight end actually than a run blocker. So that'll be a thing to look out for. But defensively, they're going to need to stay healthy. That's their main problem here. You look at what happened in the game against the Commanders. They just got torn apart because their whole defense was basically backups. And it was like we were watching a preseason game. Aiden Hutchinson broke his leg. Alan McNeil was hurt. DeMarcus Davenport, I think, has played 6 games across the past 2 seasons. So having him back and healthy, I think, will be big for them. They also got Terrion Arnold, Kirby Joseph, Jack Campbell, Alex Angele. They're got really good players. They got Tyleik Williams the back half of the first round from Ohio State, so we'll see how he does in the middle of the defense. The Lions and Brian Branch, the secondary, like the Lions still have very good players. It's just a matter of how they adjust to the new offensive and defensive looks that these new guys will bring in. And I don't think, again, it's going to be hard, like the Chiefs. It's going to be hard for them to repeat what they did last year. I don't think 15-2 is on the mark, but I am going to have them going 10-7. This year, I've seen some people talk about 9-8, but 10-7 is where I'm going to have them right now. And then the Green Bay Packers are next. Jordan Love, can he stay healthy? Because he got hurt week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles last year down in Brazil and kind of rushed his way back from injury. It never really looked the quarterback that we've normally seen from Jordan Love, who I think is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. We're talking about like pound for pound talent and not just looking at what the statistical values were last year. I would take him over Jared Goff. I know the numbers were there for Jared Goff, but I really like Jordan Love. And I think drafted Matthew Gold in the first round, who, thank God, he changed his number from 22. That is receivers wearing 20 numbers is ridiculous. I thought we learned that from Sky Moore. We should never do that again. So he's wearing number 0, which I like, to go along with Jaden Reed. Still got Romeo Doubs still there. Christian Watson's going to be coming off of an injury, so we'll see how he looks there, or if he's even going to play. I don't know. I mean, there's a 50-50 shot that Christian Watson plays any games at any point in any season ever. And you also got Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave at tight end. Josh Jacobs is coming off a fantastic year last year. The offensive line, we'll see how they improve this upcoming season as well. But defensively, the big name they got, Micah Parsons, coming in from the Dallas Cowboys, wearing the number 1. First time anybody in Green Bay has worn number 1 in 99 freaking years. And Micah Parsons, it's a massive get. I mean, he's never had less than 12 sacks in his 4-year career in the NFL. And last year was his lowest. He had 12, and he only played 13 freaking games. Like, that's just such a massive get for them. I think losing Kenny Clark in the middle of the defense is a massive loss, though, sending him down to Dallas, a part of that deal. The secondary scares me a little bit, though Xavier McKinney was great last year. The cornerbacks, losing Jair Alexander, I'm intrigued to see how the cornerbacks look, but adding that pass rusher and Micah Parsons is just so big for this defense. And the Packers, if Jordan Love, again, can stay healthy and they can do what we know they can do on the outside of the ball, I see no reason why the Packers can't win this division. I'm going to have them going 11-6. And the final team in this division is the Minnesota Vikings. JJ McCarthy is in as the starting quarterback. They traded up 1 spot to get him last year. Looked good in his 1 preseason game he saw from him, and he got hurt. Sam Darnold played fantastic last year, much better than what anybody thought he would. Like, we've always known Sam Darnold's got talent, but to see it like that, and the Vikings had a great wealth of options for him to throw to, but to see it like that was awesome. I think he was a top 5 MVP candidate as well. I couldn't remember, at least top 10. I can't remember if he was top 5 or not, but they obviously got Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison's going to be serving a 3-game suspension to kick off the season. The offensive line, that whole middle of their O-line is improved from last year. Like, you got Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill, who are 2 of the best tackles in the NFL, one of the best tackle tandems in the NFL. Darrisaw has been battling some injuries this offseason, but you look at the middle of the offensive line. We brought 2 of them up before, Will Fries and Ryan Kelly, who who are 2 upgrades there, and you drafted Donovan Jackson from Ohio State with your first-round pick there as well, which you got a young quarterback coming off a knee injury where he missed the entire season. You're needing to beef up that offensive line. TJ Hawkins is also still there. Like, they brought back Adam Thielen as well. The question mark I do have is if Aaron Jones can have the same production that he had last year. And Jordan Mason's coming in from the San Francisco 49ers, so I wouldn't be shocked if he took over at some point, because Aaron Jones is above 30. He's going to be 31 or 32 in December. So it's always hard to look at running backs like that and go, oh, they can improve. They had a 1,000-yard season above 30. They're going to keep doing that as the years go on. I could be wrong. He could do that, but a lot of the offensive success, or all of the offensive success, it'll depend on how good J.J. McCarthy is. And I really like J.J. McCarthy, so I'm excited to see what he can do. And the defensive side of the ball, I mean, you got Jonathan Grenard there, you got from the Houston Texans last year. And Alex Van Ginkel, I'm intrigued to see. We talked about this before with Kyle Van Noy with the Ravens. Can he match the production that he had last year? Because last year, if you look at his numbers, throughout his entire career, he's never had more than 6 sacks in a season. He's been in the league since 2019. And last year he had 12 and a half sacks. So is it crazy to say I don't expect him to reach 12 and a half sacks this next season? I don't know. The secondary makes me a little bit nervous, but I think adding Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave to the defensive line are big upgrades there as well. And I trust Brian Flores on the defensive side of the ball with everything. Like, the Vikings staff is very, very good, and they've got very good players. But again, like we've talked about before with a couple other teams, I think everything was just clicking in the right way last season. I think the Vikings are a very good football team, but with how tough this division is, I think they'll just all beat each other up. And I don't know, the Vikings, I don't think are going to win 14, 13 games like they did last year. I just don't see that happening. And I forgot, I don't know why this popped in my brain now. I forgot to bring up Malachi Starks for the Ravens. He's going to be freaking awesome this year. I forgot to mention that before, because I think there was some talks about the Vikings looking at him, but that's beside the point. I think that's why it popped back into my head. But the Vikings, I'm going to have this probably low, but I'm going to have them 9-8. I could see a world where they make the playoffs. I could also see a world where they miss the playoffs. And I don't think it's a bad season for them to go 9-8. It's a little bit of a drop off from last year, but there's a lot of changes in this division, and there's a lot of good football teams, a lot of good football players in this division, so it's going to be tough. But I'm cheering for J.J. McCarthy, so we'll see how he does in year 2. I guess year 1. You're going to win the Ben Simmons Rookie of the Year this year, pretty much, because he didn't play a single snap last year. So maybe we could do one of those things. But, yeah, moving on. So we got North, South, NFC South. We'll start up with the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix in year 2 as the full-time starter. Year 1 really is the full-time starter. He came in back half of last season to replace Kirk Cousins, which at the time when they drafted him, that was seen as insane. But it ended up working out because Cousins did not play very well. He never looked fully comfortable on his leg that he tore his Achilles on. So Penix comes in. You've got Drake London. You've got Bijan Robinson. You got Kyle Pitts there, who we're all expecting Kyle Pitts to take off this year. This is the year that Kyle Pitts is a legit number 1 tight end of the NFL. So we're going to obviously watch that. But the big news this offseason was that they brought in edge rushers. Jalen Walker from Georgia, James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee. And this is the first Georgia player, I believe, that they've ever drafted in the first round, which is just crazy to think about. But those two guys are very, very good football players. Like, I was absolutely shocked Jalen Walker fell out of the top 10. And that's beside them. I thought we'd go to their division rival, Carolina. But A.J. Terrell's still there at the cornerback position. And the Falcons, they're going to be a good football team. It's just this division is just very weird, and I am going to have them going 8-9. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish 9-8 this year, but I am going to go 8-9 for right now. And then moving on to the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young, year 3 as the starter, got benched last season for Andy Dalton, but once he got the job back, he started showing the potential that we saw and why he was drafted first overall. And David Canales, I'm intrigued to see how he does in another year with him as the starter. You brought in Teteroa McMillan, which I think is an awesome get for them to add on that with Bryce Young to give him a number 1 option. Xavier Legette's still there. You traded Adam Thielen to the Minnesota Vikings. We talked about Coker's going to step in as that number 3 receiver. Chuba Hubbard had a very solid season last year. It just depends on how good the offensive line looks this year, because the Panthers have had a trash can of an offensive line for the past however many years now. And defensively, you just need Derek Brown and J.C. Horn to stay healthy. That's your big thing on the defensive side of the ball, is those two need to stay healthy, because those two are 2 of the best in their respective positions. Both have big contracts as well. They need to stay healthy. So if they can stay healthy and the rest of the Panthers defense can rally around that, the Panthers could be like a 7-8 win team. But I am going to have them at 6-11 at this point in time. But I think, again, 7-8 wins is definitely not out of the realms of possibility. And then moving on to the New Orleans Saints, this team is the betting favorite by a long shot to finish with the number 1 overall pick in the draft. It's hard not to see why. Yes, the offensive line, I don't mind it. I do like Talisi Fuaga, you got from Oregon State last year. Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas, I think, is a very good fit there as well. So you move Fuaga back to right tackle, where he played in college, but the offense apart from the offensive line. Chris Olave is like one more concussion away from retiring. You got Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck battling it out for the starting job. But Spencer Rattler is the starter right now, but we'll see how long he holds on to that. You also got Alvin Kamara's just getting another year older. So again, like we talked about it again with the running backs getting older, we'll see how his production looks. Rashid Shaheed at wide receiver, we'll see how he looks with Chris Olave inevitably getting hurt. Like we talked about it too, it's inevitable that he gets hurt at some point in time. Defensively, there's just not a lot to, I mean, Demario Davis is still there. Cam Jordan's still there. Like, you've got some long in the tooth players in the defensive side of the ball. See how Chase Young does this year, but they're just not a good team on paper, and I just don't see them winning very many games. I'm going to have them go 3-14 this season. Maybe they win 4 games, but I'm going to have 3-14 at this point in time. And then the last team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've won the division 4 straight years, or 3 or 4 straight years, I can't remember. Baker Mayfield was awesome last year. 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, yeah, but 41 touchdowns is awesome from Baker. And they added to that receiving core. Like, getting Emeka Egbuka in the first round is an awesome get for them, because Mike Evans is getting older, Chris Godwin's getting older, Jalen McMillan, I can't remember, I thought I saw something about him battling an injury, I can't remember, but Baker building off of that with Bucky Irving in the backfield. And yes, Liam Cohen's gone, remember going down to Jacksonville, and Tristan Wirfs has battled some injuries this offseason, but one of the best tackles in the entire NFL. I mean, he's the first player in NFL history to be a first-team All-Pro at right tackle and left tackle. They just re-signed their right tackle as well a couple days ago, so that keeps their offensive line intact. The Bucs offensive line is just very, very good. And defensively, you lost some players in the secondary, but you did bring in Hassan Reddick, and if he's anything close to what we saw in Philadelphia, then you've got a good player. I think he's only in on a 1-year deal, so it's a kind of a risk-free move for them there. But Yaya Diaby is also there on the edge rusher spot. So the Buccaneers, it's just going to be intriguing to see how their defense looks, but with Todd Bowles still being there, I expect their defense to be fine. I've seen some people talk about them missing the playoffs this year. I don't know if I would go that far at this point in time, and I think the Bucs, with bringing in Emeka Egbuka, with Baker Mayfield having the season that he had last year, with Bucky Irving still listed as the RB1, and the offensive line still being as good as it is, I don't know if they'll go very far, but I am going to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning the division and finishing 10-7. And moving on to the next division, we got North, South, East. We got the Dallas Cowboys kicking things off. Micah Parsons, big news this offseason, getting traded to the Green Bay Packers, brought in Kenny Clark. They needed to improve their run defense, so they brought in Kenny Clark, and I think Kenny Clark's a very good player, but he's just not the same player as Micah Parsons. But you got Dak Prescott coming back, which will obviously give the offense a boost with him and CeeDee Lamb. You brought in George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers as well, and you drafted Tyler Booker. So you got like the Great Wall of Tyler there. Tyler Guyton, Tyler Booker, and Tyler Smith. So you got 3 Tylers. It's just a shame you got rid of Tyler Biadasz last offseason. You have 4 Tylers on the offensive line. But the running back room is going to be intriguing to watch. You got Blue coming in from Texas, Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, and with Schottenheimer being the head coach, they're going to want to run the football. It's just the last name. You cannot have the name Schottenheimer and throw the ball a shit ton. That's just not how that works. So we'll see how Schotty does with this new, as the head coach, which I know a lot of people were not excited for him coming in this offseason or stepping up as the head coach from being the OC. So we'll see how he does. Defensively, again, Micah Parsons being gone is going to be interesting to see how that turns out. You got Trayvon Diggs also still back there. You just signed Jerron Bland to a massive $92 million extension. We'll see how he does there. But the Cowboys, losing someone like Micah Parsons, it's a lot easier said than done to replace that kind of production. Again, he's never had less than 12 sacks in his 4-year career. That is not easy to replace. So we'll see how they're gonna have to try and figure something out. But I am going to have the Cowboys finishing 8-9. I do think the offense will get a boost this year with Dak being back and him and CeeDee Lamb with George Pickens there as well. I think it's a nice move for them. But we're going to go 8-9. And then the next team, the New York Giants. Russell Wilson is the starter. Jackson Dart is the backup, but Jackson Dart will be the starter at some point throughout the season. You also got Tyrone Tracy in at running back. Cam Scatterby, you drafted him, I believe, the 4th or 5th round this past year. You've also got Malik Neighbors, who's one of the best young wide receivers in the NFL. The offensive line is not ideal. It's not ideal. They're injured to hell and back every freaking year, so we're just going to have to wait and see how they do. But the defensive line, it's very, very good. Dexter Lawrence is arguably, I don't even know if it's arguable, the best defensive tackle in the NFL. You also drafted Abdul Carter from Penn State, 3rd overall. You got Kayvon Thibodeau still there. Brian Burns is still there. Like, there's such a good defensive line, and that defensive line could prove big for this season for them. So I'm going to have the Giants, who I don't think they'll be a good team. I don't know why I said, so I'm going to have the Giants, like I was going to say something good. I don't think they're going to be a good football team, but I am excited to see when Jackson Dart goes in and add that little boost with him and Malik Neighbors out there. So I'm going to have the Giants going 5-12 this year, but I could see 6-11 in there. I could see 6-11 easily, but 5-12. And moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles, the team that won the Super Bowl as convincingly as I've seen in a long time. So they got Jalen Hurts still kicking it. He got hurt the back half of last season, so his numbers aren't really there in regards to some of the other quote-unquote elite quarterbacks in the NFL. But Saquon Barkley was 100-something yards away from Eric Dickerson. Sorry, I was getting college confused. From his Eric Dickerson's all-time single-season rushing record. Saquon Barkley's battled a lot of injuries throughout his career. So how he looks with how many carries that he had last year, will he be able to replicate that number? It's hard to replicate a number like that. So I don't see that happening, but he'll still have a very good season because the Eagles' offensive line is still great. Mekhi Becton went off to the Chargers this offseason, but the Eagles will always be good offensively on the offensive line. You've got A.J. Brown still there. Devontae Smith still there. We talk about John Mechie coming in as well this offseason. Like, they're going to be good offensively. And defensively, losing Josh Sweat to the Arizona Cardinals is big. But you look at Zach Bond. We talk about players replicating numbers that they've never really put up before. Will he be able to replicate the stuff that he did last season? And losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the Houston Texans, that trade for Kenyon Green earlier. How will they be able to replace him? Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell are awesome players. Awesome players. Cooper DeJean got a pick 6 in the Super Bowl, but how are you going to replace some other key members, some veteran players in that secondary? And on the defensive line, I mean, Jordan Phillips is still there. Jordan Davis, is still there. Jalen Carter. You still got Nolan Smith in there as well. So the Eagles there, and you drafted Giad Campbell with the 31st pick in the draft. So they got that good player they always seem to get in the back half of the first round. So the Eagles are going to be a good team again. They just have too many good players on paper. I know the NFC East rotates winners every freaking year. Like, we have a new winner every year, but I just don't see that this year with the Eagles. They're just too damn good. I'm going to have the Eagles finishing 13-4. And then the final team, the Washington Commanders, everything just worked for them last year. Everything just worked. I mean, the prime example of that is the Hail Mary play against the Bears, but you look at the depleted Lions that they played in the playoffs. Just everything they wanted to do worked, and Jaden Daniels had an insane rookie season, one of the greatest rookie seasons we've ever seen, like breaking every single rookie franchise record and setting a new league record for rushing yards by a quarterback, taking them to the NFC Championship game. Yes, they got smoked by the Eagles, but to make it that far was crazy. And Terry McLaurin just signed a new extension. You've got in Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt coming in as a running back. You traded Brian Robinson to the San Francisco 49ers, but Austin Eckler is the starter right now, but people are really excited to see Krosky-Merritt in at some point this season. You also brought in Deebo Samuel from the 49ers, who we're hoping to see like something of the old Deebo Samuel that we used to see when he was with San Francisco. The offensive line, we talked about Laramie Tunsil. You drafted Josh Connerly from Oregon as well to help improve that unit as well, because Jane Daniels got hit a lot, and he's not a very big guy. So you need to keep him upright as long as you can. And on the defensive side of the ball, Frankie Louvu's still there. You brought in I'm blanking. Hold on. Let me get it. Trey Amos from Ole Miss, who I think is a very good get in the second round at the cornerback position. But the defensive side, with Dan Quinn still being there, I think they're going to improve or keep being a solid unit. Bobby Wagner still kind of there. They let Jonathan Allen go to the Minnesota Vikings this offseason. They don't have, Louvu's very, very good football player, but I just see the Commanders, like we talked about some of the other teams before, it's hard to replicate what you did last year when it kind of caught lightning in a bottle in a sense. So I'm going to have the Commanders dip a little bit, and I'm going to have them finishing 9-8 this season, but they're still going to be a very good football team, competitive team. It just feels natural to think that they're going to have a slight dip this coming season. And the final division here, the NFC West, start off with the Arizona Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon in his third year as the head coach of the Cardinals, and they just keep improving every year. And with Kyler Murray back as the quarterback, last year we saw how important he is to that offense. I'm not sitting here saying like Kyler Murray is a top 10 quarterback or anything like that, but Kyler Murray, pound for pound, is one of the best athletes in the NFL. I mean, hell, he was a 9th overall pick in the MLB draft, and if he has another year with Marvin Harrison Jr., I think that can only build their chemistry. And James Conner is a fantasy GOAT. You're guaranteed to get a good amount of fantasy points from him. You also got Trey McBride at tight end, who's one of the best tight ends in all of football. And on the defensive side of the ball, you brought in Josh Sweat, like we brought up before, from the Philadelphia Eagles. Darius Robinson, who you drafted last year, we're going to need to see him a little bit more this year. Missed a lot of time last season. You also drafted Will Johnson in the second round this year, who battled some injuries while at Michigan, so he went from a potential top 10 pick last offseason to a second round pick because of some fearful injuries in there. So we'll see how he does with here. I believe he brought in Denzel Burt from Ohio State as well. And their defense is going to keep getting better. In the offense, with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray building another year of chemistry, I think that will boost the offense a lot. So I am going to have the Cardinals finishing 9-8 this season, being one of those sleeper playoff teams. So I like some of the pieces that this team has. And then moving on to the next team, the LA Rams. Their success drastically depends on if Matt Stafford can stay healthy. That is it. He's 37 years old, has a bad back, and that is a easier said than done thing to recover from. So if he's not able to go and you have to play Jimmy Garoppolo, that's a massive drop off. And Jimmy Garoppolo, I know, has been to a Super Bowl and stuff like that. But to go from Stafford, who's a top 10 quarterback in the league, to Jimmy Garoppolo, that's a drastic drop-off. And yes, you brought in Devontae Adams this offseason. You let Cooper Kupp go to the Seahawks. You still got Puka Nacua there. Hopefully he can stay healthy. The offensive line's battled some injuries this offseason, notably Alaric Jackson from Iowa. He's battled some injuries. Kyron Williams is still there. Blake Corum there at running back as well. And Sean McVay's there, so you know they're still going to be good offensively. And defensive side of the ball, they have a lot of talent. Brandon Fisk, Jared Verse, Kobe Turner. Like, they have a lot of talented players, talented young players on the defensive side of the ball. It's just a matter, again, if Matt Stafford can stay healthy. He is the cog in this team and how good they can be going into this season. And maybe I'm just being a coward here. Maybe they should be better than this, but I'm so fearful of his back injury that I'm going to have the Rams going 9-8 this season. And then we got the San Francisco 49ers, who, we're talking about injuries. They were injured to hell and back last season. Every single person that could have gotten hurt got hurt last season. And Brock Purdy signed a new contract extension this offseason, so we'll see how he does with that. Christian McCaffrey, can he stay healthy? That's going to be a big question mark. And the receiving core is just a who's who of receivers. Now, you do have Ricky Pearsall. You drafted in the first round last year, so we'll see how he does this year. Brandon Ayuk is also still there. You got Juwan Jennings there. George Kittle's going to do his thing. The offensive line still scares me a little bit, most notably on that right side, but if your main skill position players are able to stay healthy, then I think the Niners will be fine. I do think, like, drafting Mykel Williams, who's a raw player from Georgia, with the 11th overall pick, I do like that move. So we're going to need to see how he does, because they're going to be replacing some key players. We talk about Dre Greenlaw. We talk about Javon Hargrave leaving, like Charvarius Ward going to the Colts. Like, they have to replace some big names on this defensive side of the ball, but Fred Warner's still kicking it there. Nick Bosa's still kicking it there. So they've still got some very, very good players on the defensive side of the ball. It's just a matter of if they can stay healthy, and if they do, they're the easiest candidate to go from worst to first in the division. I'm going to have them finishing 10-7. And then the next team, the last team on here, is the Seattle Seahawks. Sam Darnold coming in, new offensive coordinator as well. Ryan Grubb goes back to Alabama, which that's starting off fantastically for them this year. New offensive coordinator coming in. Mike McDonald is a defensive-minded head coach who came from Michigan and the Baltimore Ravens, two teams that want to run the football. So you've got Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet in the backfield. They want to run the ball, and they drafted Gray Zabel from North Dakota State, who is the most dominant run team in the FCS. So adding that physicality to the offensive line is massive. And again, we talked about Sam Darnold having a crazy year last year. How will he be able to go off of that into this season? You brought in, like we talked about, Cooper Kupp, so we'll see how he does if he can stay healthy. Jackson Smith-Njigba is an awesome wide receiver there as well. It's just, can Sam Darnold replicate at all what he did last season? I think defensively, they've got some good players still there. Leonard Floyd's still kicking there. Their secondary is very, very good. Devin Witherspoon is one of the better young cornerbacks in the NFL. So as long as he can stay healthy, they've got that piece there. But again, their secondary is very, very solid. And the Seahawks, it's again, just depends on the quarterback play. We're just going to have to wait and see on it. But right now, I'm going to have them finishing 8-9 this year. And that is my 2025-2026 NFL season predictions. And on screen, I will put up the playoff matchups and stuff like that for the AFC. And we got the NFC. We'll go through the Super Bowl matchup here as well, which I'm going to go out on a limb right now. And I'm going to go, you know what? I'll have a little fun here. Back in the day, and I'll throw it on the screen, I had this little book, probably from like 05 or 06 or something like that. And it had a little bracket in there, and you could write it all down yourself. And I had the Bills and Packers in that book. So I'm going to have the Bills and Packers playing in the Super Bowl. No other reason apart from that. And I'm going to have the Bills winning it. So we're going to finally have the Bills win a Super Bowl. But that's my predictions for this year. Oh, the awards will be on screen somewhere as well. But those are my 2025-2026 NFL season predictions. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did not, I sincerely apologize. Try to be better next time. Make sure to leave a comment down below on how you feel I did in regards to all these predictions, how you think your team will do. If I gave them a bad prediction, a good prediction, whatever, just let me know down in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any more awesome content here on the Logan Blackman Show YouTube channel. Give this video a thumbs up again if you enjoyed it. Check out all the links down in the description below. Make sure to check out the quarterback prospect rankings video coming out for this weekend. Awesome, good stuff. And I will see you guys. I hope you enjoyed again. If you didn't, I see you the pod. Try better next time. And I will see you guys later. Peace.